Verbal expressions and equations. I can translate words into algebraic expressions and solve algebraic equations while maintaining equality on both sides. So we glued this in our notebook today, and we took some time reading through the words that could mean addition, words that mean subtraction, words that mean multiplication, and words that mean division. The one word I want you to circle on this paper is the word is. Is our equals. So anytime you see the word is, I want you to think of equals. So we first need to start with the difference between an expression and an equation. Very simply put, an expression is a mathematical sentence with no equal sign. So we just simplify those. An equation will have an equal sign. It's a mathematical sentence with an equal sign, and we try to actually solve these things. We want to get x equals 5, x equals 3. We want to get these solved once we see them. These expressions will just be simplified. So let's look at the sentence. The nice part about reading these is you can read from left to right 90% of the time. So we need something to fill in for a number, and we usually say a number is some sort of variable, and we're going to use x. So if we say x divided by 4, meaning that would just be written as x over 4. So you try the next one just going left to right. Stop the video, try it, and then come back and turn it back on. All right, welcome back. You should have had x increased. Increased means plus 5. So our expression is just x plus 5. Remember I said 90% of the time it's pretty simple. You can go left to right. Here is a case where you can't. Most people want to write 3 minus a number. But 3, if I write 3 minus x going left to right, and I substitute 10 in there, 3 less than 10 does not come out at 7 if it's written this way. So here's what we have to think about. Anytime I see the word less than, we want to underline it, and then draw an arrow to the end of the expression. Because what that tells me is that this has to be brought to the end of it so I can read left to right. So if I brought 3 less than to the end of a number, I would have a number, then the word number less than 3. So it's the only time right now that you cannot go left to right. Anytime I see the word less than, I want to bring it to the end of the number. So I want you to go back to this page. If you have a highlighter, please use it, but I want you to underline the word less than there. Then go in here and underline the word less than, and then draw your arrow to remind you to bring it to the end. So it should be looking like n minus 3. All right, so let's look at some equations now. Now you're going to have is in there. So if I go left to right, try writing this one just going left to right. All right, so you would have had 5 times a number plus 7. Oops, there's our is. We know is equal 37. So we really don't need that dot because that gives us 5x plus 7 equals 37. And there's your two-step equation. So you would be able to draw your line down and solve that. This bottom one's a little trickier now because of that word less than. Remember to underline it. And now we can't draw the arrow all the way to the end because it's not an expression. We got to draw the arrow to the end of the expression right before the equal sign, so it would fit in right there. So in this case, we would have, well, less than goes here, so we really start here with a number. Less than 4 is equal 10. And that's how you would write the equations, now with equal signs. Now here's when it changes. I would do a bunch on my worksheet, which looks like this worksheet. I would do a bunch of these for practice down these first 2 columns because those all fit for what we just did. Now here's when it changes. Go back in your notebook and I want you to write the words sum, difference, product, and quotient. These 4 words are the answer to an addition, answer to a subtraction, answer to a multiplication, and answer to a division problem. Anytime you see those words, you may need parentheses. So I want you to draw a set of parentheses there. So that's why I wrote that just as my reminder. So here's what we're going to do. Number one, after you see these words, you start the parentheses. So if you see the word some, right after, put a parenthesis. Different, put a parenthesis, and so on. Number two, find the word and. These will always have an and somewhere in the sentence. You find that if the word was some, you'd put a plus sign. If the word was different, subtraction, and so on. Then you find the end of the parenthesis. If it's an expression, it comes right at the end. If it's an equation, it will come right before the equal sign. So I want you to write this one in your notebook. Stop the video if you need to. All right, so now let's go left to right, following these three steps. Number one, after the word, write a parenthesis. So the word some is there, I put the parenthesis in. Find the word and. Since some means plus, right on top of the word and, I put a plus sign. The end of the parenthesis, a lot of people want to put it at the end, but remember it has to come right before the equals, which is, so it's going to come right in there. So now when we can go left to right, and to be honest with you, since we've done all that, we don't need that word anymore. We can cross it off, and we just go left to right. 5 times, parenthesis, a number, plus 2 is equal to 12. And there it is. We really don't even need that multiplication symbol. This is when we know we need the parentheses because we would then distribute 5 times x and 5 times 2 to be able to solve this problem. Now let's take a look at this next problem. It looks almost identical. I want you to take a minute and write it, but it's actually very different. Stop the video now if you need time to write. All right, let's look at how this one's different. Again, step 1 is the sum. We write the parenthesis. Step 2, we go find the word and, put the plus. Step 3, we find the end of the parenthesis, which is before the word is. Oops, that's not a very good parenthesis. So now we can go, we don't need the sum, so now we can go left to right. 5 times a number plus 2 is 12. Now, are we distributing anything out here? The answer is no. Because the answer is no, we actually can get rid of these parentheses, and there's our two-step equation. So refer back to this if you struggle, but if you look at, that's what's happening anytime you see these. For instance, here's one. We have the word sum, so I'd put a parenthesis here, I'd find the and I'd put a parenthesis at the end. And now you can just go left to right. 8 times parenthesis n plus 5. You would need a parenthesis because the 8's on the outside of it to be able to distribute. Go ahead and try the rest of those. The only difference now in the back of the worksheet is you will have some of these equations that you will need to write out and then remember how to solve. Subtract 7 on both sides. This would give me 30 equals 5x because these cancel. Divide both sides by 5. Cancels. And x equals 6. So in the back of the worksheet, you'll actually need to solve the equations. And that's it. You just solve your worksheets. If you have questions, come see me tomorrow.